Now guys, the longer you're an entrepreneur, the more you're gonna realize image is everything, especially in real estate. That the image you're projecting out into the community or in front of the colleagues that you're working with has a direct impact and is very impactful to the long-term success of your business, as well as the overall net profits and the amount of contracts that you're gonna convert from listing appointments into actual monetized contracts. So the clothes you wear, have you shaved, showered, brushed your teeth, the car that you drive, these are very, very important. Most people are overlooking the human element, the social dynamics of business. So we're gonna touch on this going forward, guys, and we're not gonna be politically correct on the channel. I'm gonna give you my opinion. I want you to be successful, and that's why we're doing it. So what I wanna go over in today's video, the car that I drove in the beginning, why this was a mistake, why it cost me a lot of business, the car I drive now, why I think it's a good car, a couple options that you could drive, or a car that you could drive, as well as if you don't have the ability to buy one of these cars on your own, a couple options to basically get around this. And then I want to talk about something that's important, which is the polarization of the image that you're projecting into the community. So let's dig in. My mistake, guys, this cost me a lot of money. Listen to me closely. I know a lot of you want to act like a baller and you want to go out there and show that you have a lot of money, which is what I was trying to project. I was a young guy in my 20s and I was out there driving the wrong car. I was driving an Infiniti G35 Coupe. I had it tricked out with every bell and whistle that you could possibly imagine, lowered rims. It was a sweet ass car. I'm not gonna lie. Problem was, it cost me a lot of business, right? So what happened was, I was buying a lot of houses in the 60K and under price point. Here's a rule of thumb. If you're driving a car that costs more than the house that you're gonna buy, it is not a good idea. Because people are gonna do business with who they know, like, and trust, and they do not like people who are showing up in a car that's more expensive than the house that they're frustrated with and they're having to sell because they're in a distressed financial situation. They don't want to make the rich richer, I guess you could say. That's a good rule of thumb. Now, what I want to touch on here is avoiding the polarization, because this goes on both sides of the spectrum, guys. You can drive a car that's way too nice, and you can drive a car that's not nice enough, right? So here's kind of what I want to point out. Assume this is a really nice car, right? I know it doesn't even really look like a car, but assume it's like a Lamborghini or Ferrari. Well, let's tone it down a little bit. Let's just look at a nice, really nice Mercedes or Beamer, or something that's just a really, really nice car. If you're rolling up to a $30,000 house and you're driving a $70,000, $80,000 Beamer, they may not like that, right? Just kind of stand in their shoes and think what they would be thinking as soon as you roll up, right? Because here's what you need to understand. When you roll up to a house, people are judgmental. They are judging you from the second you walk up. They may be calling 3 or 4 investors out there. The second you roll up, they don't see the clothes that you're wearing. They don't see who you are, what you look like, unless they looked you up online. They are judging you from the first impression on the car that you drive. So if you're driving a very nice car trying to buy a low-end property, it's not gonna work, as well as on the other side of the polarization spectrum. You cannot drive a car that's got broken windows, no hubcaps, that you probably couldn't even sell, you would have to give away, and roll up to $1 million house and expect to get that over someone that is rolling up in a car like this. Now, if you are driving a car like this, you have enough money to be able to afford an extra car that you can roll up to appointments on, right? Now, this is where it gets tricky, because if you don't have the money to do so, what are you gonna do? We'll talk about that here in just a second. Now, I wanna combine these 2, 3, and 4 here and kind of point out what I drive now, as well as why this is important. So what I drive right now, guys, is I drive a Cadillac CTS. It's a 4-door Cadillac CTS. The reason why I drive this car is because it projects enough value. It shows that I have enough money that I can actually buy their house, but it's not overly flashy in your face, and it's not gonna make them feel bad about themselves and their situation, right? So it's a fine line between showing that you have the ability to do what you say, which is buy their house, which is a very cost-intensive thing, which you have to have a lot of money to do, as well as not being overly too flashy that they get a bad taste in their mouth, if that makes sense. So what if you do not have the ability to drive a car and you're working at a price point where most of the houses, you feel that you are not driving a car up to the level standard that they're gonna take you seriously when you roll up, right? So you have a couple options. You can rent a car, literally, right? Or you can borrow a car from a friend or family member. This is very, very important, guys. We had a video that came out just a little bit ago talking about the clothes that you wear, but the car that you drive also has a big impact. So I want to stress to you the power of one deal, right? When you are at the bottom and you have a little bit of debt or you barely have any money in your account, you are not taking big risks with your business, and if you are, you're probably putting yourself in a bad spot, right? So here's what you gotta understand. When you hit that go-ahead deal, that one deal, that 40, 50K deal, now you have enough money in your account, now you can basically experiment, because now you can go and drop money on marketing campaigns, 10 grand here, 10 grand there, an experiment, because if you don't convert any deals, it didn't put you out of business. So you're looking for that one deal. One deal will change your business. I call this the go-ahead deal. So if one deal is this impactful, and it's this house, and you're driving this car, you need to get a different car. You either need to rent a car for the day, which could be 50 to 80 bucks, but if that results in you getting a $50,000 deal, guys, was it worth it? Yes. If you have to bug your friends or your family members to let you borrow a car just for the day, it is worth it. That is how important this deal is to you. You need to get that one deal that's going to help you take off and get you in a financial situation to really run your business correctly. So that's why I want to point out, guys, the mistake I made was driving too flashy a car for the houses I was working with. Some of you are driving a car that's not nice enough. The options you have is to borrow a car or rent a car, or maybe, who even knows, you could ask an Uber driver to drive up if they have a nice enough car. Now, some of the cars that I think are okay, SUVs that are not overly flashy, I wouldn't be driving up with a tricked out Land Rover, but I would drive up in a nice SUV or a semi-nice SUV, maybe even a business truck, right? You could have a truck with your brand on it. It could be even a lifted truck. When you drive a flashy truck, it's not so flashy as driving a Lamborghini, right? So you can have an $80,000 truck versus an $80,000 sports car, and your truck is jacked up with big rims and big tires, but it says construction on it or renovation company or whatever it has, or you know, I think you get the point. They're not gonna judge you as much on that because they're assuming that you're in the construction business as well if you're flipping houses, as they are if you just drive up in a flashy two-door sports car, if that makes sense. But you need to project enough value to get these houses, guys, because if they don't think you can afford to buy the house, the only thing they care about is, will you show up on the day you said you will with the amount of money that you said you would? That's the only thing they care about. And if you're giving them any room to doubt that you can close on it, you may not get that contract, because the person coming in behind you that did portray the right image may get the contract that you should have had.